There are certain things a man does for a woman because he loves her, and then there are things a man does because he's afraid of losing her. They can look almost identical from the outside, but they come from completely different places, and over time, they lead to completely different outcomes. Today we're talking about 5 things senior men should never do for a woman, no matter how much they love her, how lonely they felt, or how badly they want the relationship to work. And I want you to really pay attention to number 5, because it's the one most men don't even realize they're doing until the damage is already done. Let's start with the first one. Number 1, never abandon your friendships for her. This happens more often than people admit, especially to men later in life. A new relationship starts, the excitement takes over, and slowly, one by one, the friendships that used to fill your calendar start disappearing. The weekly golf game gets skipped. The phone calls to old friends get shorter and less frequent. The dinners with the guys turn into dinners with just her, every single time. Here's why this matters more than most men realize. Friendships built over decades are not easily replaced. They took years to build, they carry history, and they give you a version of yourself that has nothing to do with any romantic relationship. When you let those connections fade for the sake of a woman, you're not being romantic, you're becoming dependent. And dependency, whether men want to admit it or not, is deeply unattractive. Women can feel it. They sense when a man has restructured his entire life around them. And instead of feeling flattered, most women feel the weight of that responsibility. And eventually, they resent it. A man who keeps his friendships, his routines, and his own social world intact isn't loving her less. He's simply not asking her to be his only source of connection in the world. That's healthier for both of you, and ironically, it tends to make relationships last longer, not shorter. Number 2, never hide your finances from your adult children. This one is uncomfortable to talk about, but it needs to be said clearly. If you're a senior man entering a new relationship, your children deserve transparency about your financial decisions, especially anything involving your estate, your assets, or major financial commitments to a new partner. This isn't about mistrust of the woman in your life. It's about protecting the relationships you've spent a lifetime building with your own family. Too many men, caught up in a new relationship, quietly change beneficiaries, take out loans, or make large financial gifts without ever having an honest conversation with their children. When those decisions come to light later, and they almost always do, the damage isn't just financial. It's a breach of trust that can take years to repair, if it repairs at all. A woman who genuinely respects you and your family will never ask you to hide these conversations. If she does, that itself is a signal worth paying very close attention to. Real partnership means transparency, not secrecy. Protecting your relationship with your children isn't disloyalty to her, it's basic integrity. Number 3. Never give up your independence to make her comfortable. Independence looks different for every man, but it usually includes things like your own space, your own schedule, your own hobbies, and your own sense of identity outside of the relationship. Some men, especially after they've been alone for a while, feel so grateful for companionship that they start dissolving their independence entirely, just to keep the peace or keep her happy. This might look like giving up your own home to move into hers without a real conversation about what that means long term. It might look like abandoning hobbies you love because she's not interested in them. It might look like constantly rearranging your schedule around her needs while your own needs quietly disappear. Here's the truth. A relationship built on one person disappearing into the other isn't partnership, it's erosion. And it rarely happens all at once. It happens in small decisions, month after month, until one day you look up and realize you don't recognize your own life anymore. The men who age well, who stay vibrant and interesting well into their 70s and 80s, are the ones who protect a piece of themselves that belongs only to them, no matter who they're in a relationship with. Number 4. Never rescue her financially without a real conversation first. This is one of the most common regrets senior men report after a relationship goes wrong. A woman shares a financial struggle, whether it's a family member's medical bill, a business problem, or simply falling behind on payments, and a man, wanting to be helpful and show his love, steps in and solves it. Sometimes it's a loan. Sometimes it's an outright gift. Sometimes it becomes a pattern. The problem isn't generosity. Generosity is a wonderful trait. The problem is when that generosity happens without boundaries, without a real conversation, and without any expectation of reciprocity or even acknowledgement. Financial rescuing, done repeatedly, quietly shifts a relationship's foundation. Instead of 2 equal partners, it becomes a provider and a dependent, and that dynamic rarely stays healthy for long. Before any significant financial help changes hands, have the honest conversation. What is this for? Is it a loan or a gift? What happens if the relationship doesn't work out? These aren't unromantic questions. They're the questions a self-respecting man asks before he acts. And any woman who truly respects you will understand exactly why you're asking them. Number 5, and this is the one I really want you to sit with. Never abandon your own opinions just to avoid conflict. This is the quiet one, the one that doesn't announce itself the way financial mistakes or friendship neglect do. This is the slow disappearance of your own voice inside your own relationship. It starts small. You have an opinion about where to eat, but you go along with hers because it's easier. You have a different view on a family matter, but you stay quiet because arguing feels exhausting. You disagree with how she talks about your kids, or your grandkids, or your finances, but instead of saying so, you nod and let it go. Once, then twice. Then it becomes the pattern of the entire relationship. Here's why this matters more than almost anything else on this list. A relationship where one person has stopped voicing their true opinions isn't peaceful. It's silent. And silence isn't the same thing as harmony. Over time, men who do this don't just lose arguments, they lose their sense of self within the relationship. They become agreeable instead of genuine, and agreeable is not the same as respected. Women, generally speaking, do not want a man who agrees with everything. They want a partner who has a spine, who can disagree respectfully, who brings his own perspective to the relationship instead of simply mirroring hers back at her. A man who has an opinion and expresses it, even when it's inconvenient, is far more attractive and far more respected than a man who's traded his voice for the appearance of peace. If you recognize yourself in this 5th point, here's the good news. It's reversible. It starts with small moments. The next time you disagree with something, say so, calmly and respectfully. The next time you have a genuine preference, voice it instead of automatically deferring. This isn't about becoming difficult or combative. It's about staying whole inside your own relationship instead of quietly dissolving into someone else's preferences. So let's bring this together. Never abandon the friendships that took decades to build. Never hide financial decisions from the family who stood by you your whole life. Never give up the independence that makes you who you are. Never rescue without a real, honest conversation first. And never ever trade your own voice for the illusion of peace. None of this means you shouldn't love deeply, or give generously, or compromise when compromise is genuinely called for. It means doing all of that while remaining exactly who you are. The men who build the healthiest relationships later in life aren't the ones who disappear into their partners. They're the ones who stay grounded, stay independent, and stay honest, and who choose partners who respect all three. If this gave you something to think about, stay close, because next time we're breaking down why older men who understand this often become more attractive with age, not less. And the reason has almost nothing to do with looks.